Hi guys, this is Tina from Shabbydabbydoodah. Welcome back to my channel. So we're here for another one of our mass making sessions. We're up to week number 269. So what are we making today? We are making triple envelope pockets. So if you would like to craft along, what are you going to need today? You are going to need a bunch of envelopes. Now your envelopes can be different sizes, but basically what you're going to want is the ability to match your envelopes up width-wise, if that makes sense. So, you know, you might want to have some this size, or you can obviously work with them all this size, and then we're going to kind of do this type of thing with them. So I've got a whole different bunch of sizes, including some 5x7s. These are obviously going to make pretty big pockets. So depending on the size pockets that you want to have will depend on the size envelopes, you know, that you start with. So, bunch of envelopes. You're going to need some paper to cover your envelopes with. I've got printables, and I say this every week really, but I've got printables. That's because I predominantly have printables these days. You don't have to have printables. You could use, you know, wrapping paper, book page, wallpaper, you know, sheet music, anything at all really that you've got that's going to just look pretty on your envelopes. You're going to need some glue, obviously, to stick your bits and pieces together and to stick your papers down. I like to have an old gift card or a store card, that kind of thing, to be able to spread my glue out. You might want to have like a tissue or a dried wet wipe to be able to, you know, catch any excess glue. You're going to want some scissors. Now, if you prefer to use a paper trimmer, you may want to have a paper trimmer. You know, personally, I just get on better with scissors. And then the other thing that I'm going to experiment with today, I'm going to experiment with my stapler. These pockets lend themselves particularly well to being stitched, but in these mass making sessions I do try and avoid using the sewing machine, so as we're making it as accessible to as many people as possible. But if you want to use, you know, your sewing machine, then you can. I will kind of just talk you through where you would do your stitching. But if you don't have a sewing machine, or you don't want to use a sewing machine, then a stapler might be a good alternative. We're just going to play around with that. I haven't done these with stapled edges before, but we're going to see. And aside from that, you might want to have some distress ink and a blendy tool and things like that. Okay, so let's get having a look at how we make these. So what I've got here is I've got some of these really tall skinny envelopes, funny enough. These are weird size 9x4, which I hadn't really ever come across before. And then what I've got here is some 6x4s. So of course these are going to just be brilliant to kind of work together and use together. So we're just going to kind of do a little tutorial element first to demonstrate how you make these pockets. So basically what you want to do is, first of all, before you do anything, you want to seal your envelopes closed. So we're just going to take our envelopes and just seal them closed. Like that, okay. There we go. Now they are self-sealing, but to be honest, I never really trust the glue. I prefer to actually, you know, stick them down with the glue as well, just to kind of like have an extra safety measure there. Then glue this one down. Okie dokie. Now, because these are actually very tall, I might actually find that I didn't even need this. We'll see. So then what you want to do is you take your envelope. Now I'm going to turn it over and have this kind of glued side down the bottom. So that's going to be the bottom of my pocket. So I turn it over, and then what I want is to cut this down to kind of roughly the height that I want it to be. Now bearing in mind, what we're going to do is we're going to have two pockets stuck on and one at the top. So you want to cut your envelope down, but leaving it with enough room to be able to get like two pockets stuck on there. So I'm just going to kind of like pull that there, and then I think possibly about here. Now, like I say, this one is a really tall envelope. I haven't really ever seen this size before. So depending on what size envelopes you have will depend on where you're going to cut this. And I will do some with the 5x7s just to kind of like demonstrate that. So what you've got now is that section that you've cut off of your envelope. Now we're going to make this into a pocket. So we could put that like that. And then with this one being the same size, we're going to form another pocket. Oops, that's just got like a little, oh, really being fussy here, but hate it when you get those like little bits of overhanging paper. So just trim that off. So we're going to have that as another pocket here. Now, again, oops, I'm just going to put this here to sort of gauge roughly where I want to have this. So, you know, maybe I would have it something like that. And obviously you can just vary these, you know, depending on how big you want your pockets, or, you know, where you want your pockets. So just going to cut that down across there. Obviously no rules or anything. I don't measure this. It's just judged by eye. So we're going to end up with a bunch of different size pockets. Just going to cut that because it didn't look very straight. Different size pockets, but that's fine. You know, that's going to be much more interesting to make and much more interesting to use. So then what you want to do, let me just trim this down because it looks so rubbish, my cutting. Okay, you're going to then seal this down on this edge. So we just glue that down across there. Okie dokie, like that. Okay, whoops, like that. And then we're going to take this one, and we've got exactly the same scenario going on here. So we want to glue that one down as well. Okay, like that. Pop that glue. So then what we've got is we've got this one which is open at the top. So that's going to be our first pocket. And then actually, because this is a different colour to the others, and I'm just going to glue that little bit down, you know, where I just cut that, because otherwise that's going to catch when things go into that pocket. So just glue that corner down. There we go. Right. Because they're different colours, what I might prefer is actually to have this in the middle and then this one at the bottom. Do you see what I mean? Just because if you see the envelope at all, it would perhaps look better to have the different colours, you know, in the middle. I don't know. It maybe looks okay, to be honest. Now I'm actually thinking, weirdly enough, I'm not sure this is quite the same size. They're allegedly, these are 6x4 and this is a 9x4. But can you see that's slightly different size? It's probably not a big deal, but you know, I can't help but now be aware of that. So perhaps what I need to do is actually just use this envelope. That's really annoying because that's kind of straight away mucked up what I was saying, or you know, how we were working. So let me just grab another one of the 9x4s. Just glue that one down like that. Okay, and then I will save these bits obviously for another pocket that we do. So I'm going to put this one down, and then we've got them completely identical sizes. So pop that there, and then just cut this across here. So, okay, try and get that a bit straighter. Not sure I've done a brilliant job again. What is wrong with my cutting? Sorry about that. That was my dad was just phoning to see whether I wanted to go for a coffee today. So, yeah, I do apologise. It just kind of cut my phone off. Never done that before, but anyway, that's what happened. Right, okay, so we are using this one, aren't we? That's the same size now. So I'm just going to obviously glue that one down just like we did with the other one. So, yep. Okay, so then what we want to do is cover these envelope pieces. So grab my decorative paper. So I've got this paper here, this from my Swan Lake kit. So I might do this here. Okie dokie. Now weirdly, I seem to have changed my way of doing these, because I'm pretty sure that when I did these the first time around, I went right to the edge of the envelope. And you know, that's fine. But weirdly, I seem to now prefer them with a bit of envelope showing around the edge. So it's up to you, again, how you do them. But I'm going to do them slightly sort of shy of the envelopes, because I think that's quite pretty, to be honest. It's a bit how we all used to do, like if you were a scrapbooker and you did mini albums, always had like the edges showing in those, which, yeah, I don't know why, but for some reason I'm kind of like reverting back to that and quite favouring that with these. So like that, and then just obviously take that down there. Okie dokie, like that. Okay, cut that one down. Right, so that's that one. Okie doke. And then this one, or maybe I'll have this one at the back. So like that. Could have like a contrasting one in the middle, to be honest. Might look quite pretty, but I think I'm going to just do the same. Actually, now I'm thinking perhaps I would prefer this up here. So yeah, because now I've got the width of my paper defined, you know, it's sort of easier. So I'm going to do this here. Actually, we'll just keep it all the same colour for this one, but I might do some contrasting ones in a minute. So just do that. Okay, tear that one down. So like that. And then this one, and that's another reason why I quite like doing this sort of space, if you see what I mean, in between the, or you know, around the edge of the envelopes, is because it's quite pretty to just have that sort of little bit of envelope around the edge. You know, that makes it look really quite pretty, doesn't it? So, right, like that. Okay, squish that down. Okay, take that and this one. Right, I'm going to just cut this edge down because otherwise it's like a furry edge, which I don't mind. But because I haven't got furry edges on the edge of these, I feel it's a little bit out of keeping. So, yeah. Okay, like that. I don't mind the furry edge at the top, to be honest, because, you know, yeah, I feel like that sort of is okay. But if it's running down the edge, I feel like they should all have one thing or the other thing. So, right. So, glue this on. Now, oh, nearly did it upside down, didn't I? So, we've got our pocket at the top. So, up there. Okay, like that. Okay, squish that down. So these pockets, they're going to give you really quite a lot of, you know, space in them. So you're going to have a lot of room for tucking things with these. So yeah, they're quite nice pockets. Okie dokie. So that one. Again, just squish that down. Like that. Okay. And then the final one, this one. Okay, just glue this one down. And then obviously we want to assemble the pockets. So I'll show you obviously where you would glue if you are, or not, sorry, where you wouldn't glue, but where you would stitch if you're using your sewing machine. Oh, no, I didn't realise that I didn't have a straight bit on that edge, but I don't mind. It's okay. Right, so stick this down. Okay, so you're now going to be assembling your pocket. So if you were taking this, or if you were doing this, you know, making this with the sewing machine, what you could do is take it to the sewing machine. You don't want to obviously stitch across the top because you would effectively stitch this shut, but you just want to go down the edges like that and then across the bottom. Now, can you see what's happened here? I've put that pocket lower than the actual envelope. So you can adjust them here to the size that you want. So if you wanted it snug with the bottom, you could have it snug with the bottom, and then you'd stitch around there. If you want to make it a longer pocket, you could put this hanging down. Oh dear, hanging down. And then what I would do, I'd still stitch around it so it looks like it's stitched together. But what you've then got is basically when you glue that down, you've got this extra depth in your pocket. Does that make sense? I hope that kind of makes sense. What I'm going to do as well you'll notice, you know, when we were talking about the stitching, so you've stitched around the 3 edges. We're not stitching here or sticking this here. So we're just putting it on the 2 sides, because then again what that gives you is the full depth of that pocket. If you wanted to have a smaller pocket, you'd glue it down on 3 sides and then you'd have a smaller pocket. I hope that's kind of all making sense. So basically, if you're not using your sewing machine, you can take your glue and stick them down like this. Now, again, I need to just decide how big I want each pocket to be. So let's say that I do want to go up to the, or yeah, to the bottom of the pocket, if that makes sense. Then I would pop that there like that. And I've done it belly band style, i.e. not glued the bottom of that pocket for the reasons that we just said. So I feel like this is sounding really waffly and complicated. I hope it's kind of making sense when I'm describing this. So the bottom pocket, you want to do exactly the same, but you are sticking the bottom down. So like this, across the bottom, like that, okay? So that's then sticking onto the bottom of the envelope, like that. Okie dokie. So then what that gives you is 3 pockets. So you've got a pocket here, and the pocket in the top. So they're really nice, aren't they? And loads of room then for putting things. Plus, when you glued it in, you could glue it on 3 sides and have a side pocket as well. So, I mean, seriously, a lot of space there for journaling. Now, the only thing that I would say, you've got quite a bit of sort of bulk here on the corner that it's, or on the edge that it's sticking down to. So you might want to just press that down. Can you see it's kind of wanting to lift there? You might want to just leave something over it. So I'm going to just leave my crocodile on one side and my stapler on the other side, just so it's kind of like weighed down basically. Otherwise I feel like it's, you know, going to want to lift. So that's that one. Let me just do one quickly with the 5x7 to demonstrate a much bigger one. So I'm going to take the 5x7 exactly the same. We're going to glue it down closed like that. Okay. So like that, and then turn it over. Now these are going to obviously be much wider pockets. So, you know, up to you then how big you want them as in height, as in terms of height. So I'm going to take a second envelope, because you're going to probably need 2 or 1.5 really for a pocket. So glue that down like that. Okay. And then decide how tall you want your pocket to be. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my envelope that I've just glued down. I'm going to fold it in half like that, because this is going to be then a pocket on another 2, if that makes sense. So just going to cut that down like that. I'm hoping that I've gone through all the layers of envelope there. Like I might not have done. Oh, there's a fly buzzing around in here, so I apologise if you can hear it buzzing about. So that like that, and then what we want as well is just one more pocket from this envelope. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take off just a little smidgen here. Oops. So there. Now probably that's probably about 1/4 or 1/3 of the envelope. Okay. Very tiny pocket, except what we can do is do that trick like with the belly band gluing. So although that looks like a very small pocket, because we're gluing it in a bit belly bandy, it's actually giving you, you know, a full depth pocket, if that makes sense. So exactly the same then as the other one. We're going to glue this down. In fact, we don't even need to glue that down. We can use that as the opening with this one. I didn't want to do that with that other one because we'd glued that down and it was quite a flimsy end, whereas this one's a you know, side flap, so it's, you know, it's fine. Then we can glue these down. Now, if you're wondering why didn't I just use these this way up, could have done, but you're then going to have like 3 quite flimsy pockets, whereas doing them upside down, it's giving you just much stronger pockets. So that's why I didn't do them that way up. Oops. So like that. Okay, and then I'm just going to cover this with some decorative paper, and then I'm going to try this with the stapler, because we've just talked about that, haven't we? So let's take some paper here. Now, I did put in my shop this weekend my new Peacock Palace, but in pink. So I did the Peacock Palace a few weeks ago, and yeah, I've been working on a pink version. So this one's very similar. So they do kind of like overlap and coordinate a bit with each other, but this one's got much more pink tones, whereas the other one's sort of much more blues, really. Bluey greeny. So yeah, but they work quite nice together, I think, with a sort of overlap. So right, I'm going to cut this again because I don't want that furry edge. So let's just cut this down. Okay. Right. So then take this, and yeah, we're going to cover the first part like that. In fact, I'm going to, yeah, like that, I think. Okay. I mean, to be honest, if you're kind of like low on paper or anything, you don't even really need to cover all of this, if you see what I mean, because effectively a lot of this is going to be covered up. So if you're running short, you know, if you're using, say, like wrapping paper or something and you haven't got much, you could probably just get away with actually you could probably get away with actually just covering it a little bit, if that makes sense. So let's do that one. Okay. This is just my way of measuring, really, so just take that one down. Okay. And then this one, we're just going to then pop that in. Oops, like that. Take that up there. Okay. No. Like that. Again, I will just cut this with the scissors, but I just like to use the folded edge as a guide for where to cut. So, okay, right, so that one. And then we're going to just cut that in here. So, like that. Fold that in here. Like that. Okay. Take that down on the edge. There we go. Right, so we'll just cover this one. Cover this one. And then, like I say, I'm just going to show you how I would staple this. So, you know, and again, just an experiment. I haven't tried stapling these ever before, so, you know, it might actually not really work out brilliantly. But let's give it a try and see, because... And I've been doing this loads lately, and I apologise if I'm sort of repeating myself, because I don't know, you know, what videos people have seen and things like that. But I'm favouring stapling the pockets lately, because stapling gives you much more like the effect of stitching from a point of view. When you glue a pocket down on the sides, your glue spreads. So the opening from the pocket goes from like that, say, to, you know, in maybe even as much as like a centimetre either side by the time that the glue has spread. Whereas if you're using stitching, obviously, you know, the pocket stays the exact size out to the stitching, exactly as it does with the stapling. So lately I've been kind of just favouring the stapling method, because I just think it's a better way of getting the maximum size of the pocket. So just glue that like that. And then final one, this one. Like that. Okie dokie. There, like that. Okay. Pop that glue out. Or spread the glue out. Like that. Okay, so what I would now do is put them down exactly where you want them. Like that. Now we're only going to do this as a belly band, because remember, we don't want it that tiny pocket. And then that one. And then what I would then do is I would take my stapler. Oh my gosh, I'm struggling to actually hold this in place, but I would take my stapler. Now I will start by stapling exactly here, so that I've captured like 2 of the pockets in one go, if that makes sense. So staple that one like that. Staple this one here at the top like that. Now before I staple down on the side, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to glue this down the bottom, just so it's secured at the bottom there. Only because once I've put my staples all the way down the side, it's going to be trickier to get to. So, you know, that's why I've done it like that. So then again, this side, 1, 2, and then, you know, maybe like just a couple more staples, 1 here, and then 1 preferably sort of right near the bottom, like that. So, and again on the other side, 1 sort of midway, and then 1 right near the bottom at the corner, like that. Oops. Oh, that staple didn't really grip very well, but anyway, so that way you're maximising how much room is in your pocket. So the one that we've glued, you know, you've lost some with the glue, whereas using the staples, you've got like more or less the full room of the width, if that makes sense. So yeah, just kind of an option there really, for if you were doing something different to stitching, you know, you didn't want to glue, then you may prefer to do the staple method. I think actually the staples have worked really, really well. So, you know, I think that's quite a good way to do them, to be honest. And that's your pocket there. So yeah, really, really nice pockets, aren't they? So we're just going to sort of assembly line these. Now I have been waffling for a long time because these are a bit of an involved pocket. So obviously I've done the 2 tutorials, so I probably won't get many of these done if I'm, you know, absolutely truthful. So I'm just going to do, yeah, probably like maybe 4 or 5, and even that I probably won't get time to actually finish. So we will just, you know, do it assembly line, and then I may have quite a bit to do after the video. But yeah, let's just relax now, have a lovely catch up for the next 40 minutes or so. So I hope everybody is doing fantastic. I hope your week is starting out well. For those people who watch my channel, you know that I generally film these on a Monday, got for you guys on the Tuesday. So my week's only just started. It's yeah, it's looking quite grey and drab outside. In fact, the weather did say today there's a possibility of showers, short, sharp showers, I think it's described as. Maybe it will. It looks kind of like it could any minute, because actually it's gone quite grey now. But it was quite muggy this morning when I went to the gym. I did bike there again. I'm trying to use my bike all the time to go to the gym. Yeah, it was quite muggy, so who knows. Right, I've got the other portion of that envelope left to use, but I'll just do one more, and that's probably enough to be getting on with, to be honest, these ones. Yeah, so what have I been up to? Well, not a lot, to be honest. I've been very busy working, to be honest. So yeah, I've put kind of a few new kits in my Etsy shop. So if you've seen those or if you've bought them, I just want to say a massive thank you so much to anyone who's purchased them. Right, I'm going to cut these down now. So I actually quite like the size of this. So I'm going to use this as a sort of template for my, you know, up and coming ones, if that makes sense. So yeah, just going to kind of like go in and use that one as a template because it turned out a really good size. Yeah, so thank you so much to anybody who's purchased anything from my Etsy shop. What did I put in there? So I put in there, oops, best turn those up the right way before I make a mistake how I glue these, although that's probably going to be a pocket. What did I put in? So I put in the peacock one, as I said, and I put in another documents collection. So this is the documents 3, and another vintage desk and an ephemera piece as well, or an ephemera part as well for the peacock set as well. So yeah, I will probably use some of the other pages whilst we're doing this video actually today, so you will get to see some of those in a bit more detail. And I've also restocked my website shop, so I've got quite a lot of posting to do, which I'm hopefully going to do later today. If not, it will be tomorrow morning. So some posting from while I was away on my holiday. So I apologise that I didn't get around to doing it last week. The week just literally whizzed by, and before I knew it, the week was over. So yeah, yeah. What else have I been doing? So I'm just going to quickly show you a couple of the things that I have put in my shop actually. So there is a journal, so that's that one, which we've done some videos of, I think, already. Oh, sorry, I just knocked the camera. I've got this accordion folio, which, yeah, I think I have shown this before, but I haven't done a flip through of it, but it's super yummy. So I've got that. I have got a couple of big kits, so that one, and I have got this one, so they're in there. There are other things as well, like I've got some lace clusters and paper fillers and things like that. But what I've also put in, and this is a requested item, I'd had a lovely lady, and I can't remember her name now, who'd messaged me a few weeks back saying, is there any possibility that, like my die cut packs, could I do some label packs? So I've put these in. I've just got 4, but I'm hoping to get another 4 complete this afternoon and put you know, so I've got 8 in there. So you get 40 different labels and things. So, and I've tried to include different sizes, so you've got quite tiny ones and bigger ones, and including like some number tabs, so any kind of like little labely type pieces that you know, you could use on your journal. So yeah, that was a requested item, so I have done that. So yeah, hopefully that's going to be, you know, just exactly what the lady was looking for. I can't remember her name, so apologise for that. But yeah, hopefully it was just what you had in mind. Right, let's have a look here. So this is my documents collection, the new documents collection, and what I might do is I might actually intermix it with this Avery collection. So yeah, now do we want to have it? Oh, let's see. So I haven't cut the pockets, have I? So let's do that. Right, okay. So yeah, so I just want to say, oh gosh, look at that one. That's really wonky, isn't it? Oh, that's annoying. Yeah, I don't think I can use that one because look at it. I'm not over keen on those like wonky looking pockets, to be honest. So yeah, I'm not going to use that. I will do another one here. Do you know, I think these envelopes actually are wonky. It's not my gluing. I think they are wonky envelopes. So yeah, not great, to be honest. Yeah, anyway, so thank you so much to anybody who has made a purchase either on my shop or my website. I really do appreciate it. And like I say, anything that needs posting, I will be posting out, if I'm realistic, probably tomorrow, rather than today. But yes, thank you so much. So I really do appreciate it. what have I been watching? Well, again, I haven't really been watching that much because I've been quite busy working and things. And, you know, I've been obviously doing 1 or 2 things with my daughter as well. So, yeah, being the school holidays. But I have got back on board with The Handmaid's Tale. So, yeah, I'd kind of like drifted a little bit with that because obviously I started watching it. I think I just watched like an episode and a half, or, yeah, not much anyway. And then, of course, we went on our holiday. Just going to do it like this. We went on our holiday, so didn't end up actually watching very much of that at all. Now, what you could do, if you end up with a piece like this, you know, like the half and half, what you could then do is actually glue it across and use this as well. So just to kind of give you some more options there. Rather than waste that little bit, you could use that. Obviously, if you're doing that, you're going to want to make sure your glue really goes right up to the edge so you don't have, like, you know, frayed edges that as you're using as a pocket, things are going to be, like, sort of getting stuck in those frayed edges. But, yeah. Yeah, so anyway, I got back on board with The Handmaid's Tale. Oh, my goodness. It's so good. I mean, I don't know why, but I wasn't necessarily feeling it that much before our holiday. And it could have just been where I was quite distracted. Obviously, you know, packing up our house and things like that for renting our house out and things. So I kind of like lost a bit of momentum with it. And I thought, oh, you know, I'm not so keen. Anyway, I've got back on board with it now. Oh my goodness, it's so good. I mean, it's equally as good as the rest. So I watched some last night. And I think I'm up to episode 8. So again, I'm gutted because it's only actually got 10 episodes. So, yeah, and this is obviously the final season, so there will be no more for me to watch. So, a bit gutted, really. But, oh, that's so annoying. Look. It's got that wonky edge for all of them. So, what I might do, rather than waste this, is I might go in here and glue this down, like we did just now. Yeah, what I did hear that there's going to be something, I think it's called The Testaments, which is like a sort of spin-off or like a sequel, or yeah, like a sequel to it. I don't think June, like who's the main character in The Handmaid's Tale, I don't think she's going to be in it, but I think her daughter Hannah, I think, is going to be in it. Right, I'm going to do this one as well because that's also wonky. So yeah, the fold obviously on these envelopes was like misplaced. It's a bit of a shame. These are quite rubbish envelopes, but I can't actually remember whether I got these. Yeah, I'm not sure where I got them, but they've not been great. Yeah, so I think Hannah is going to be in it, who is June's daughter, the one who was kidnapped in the first place. But I don't think June is going to be in it. I think Aunt Lydia, I think she's going to be in it. So there will be characters in it, but not all of them. But yeah, anyway, so I will probably watch that, to be honest, because, oh my goodness, The Handmaid's Tale just so good. So yeah, I'm going to, I think, probably watch The Testaments as well. Right, this one again is wonky at the bottom, so I might as well just, you know, start from scratch again with this. So just cut that one down. Again, just going to glue that down there. Yeah, so anyway, that's all that I've watched, I think, on TV, because, you know, aside from that, I've just been busy kind of working and stuff, so not really watched a lot of TV. You know, the type of TV that I've put on and not really ended up seeing anything much of what was going on. You know, those things where you have to keep on rewinding because you're like, oh, I missed that bit. Oh, I missed that bit. Missed that bit. Missed that bit. You know, it's been one of those kinds of weeks. So, yeah, missed a lot of what I've been watching. But, oh, the other thing that I did sort of stumble on and just watched 1 or 2, and I can't remember what this was called, but I'm sure lots of you have probably watched it. It was a nature program with Barack Obama as the narrator, and it was on Amazon Prime, I think. Actually, no, I think it was on Netflix. Anyway, it was really, really good. So I watched 1 or 2 of those, And yeah, he's got like a really great voice, really brilliant narrator kind of thing. And yeah, so interesting. There was one like where I think it was seals were in there. Oh my goodness, aren't seals just like the most gorgeous little animals? They are so pretty, aren't they? So yeah, that was really good. If you haven't seen that, I would like really recommend it. So yeah, quite enjoyed that. Right now, haven't been to the cinema again, just because, you know, I've been busy really, but might go to the cinema this week. One of you lovely ladies had recommended Superman last week, so yes, I'm planning on perhaps going to see Superman this week because it's only just come out here. I hadn't actually realised when I replied to your comment saying, oh, I might go and see that. I thought it was already out here, but I think it only actually came out on Friday here. So yeah, I might go and watch that, you know, especially because you've obviously recommended it. So thank you very much. Maybe I will try and go and see that. Have I done anything else? No, I don't think I have, which is so boring. So yeah, on Saturday, Natalie and I, so my sister and I, we were going to go camping. So she had ordered a tent, and we were going to go camping. Now, we were going to go camping literally in the village where she lives. So yeah, we're very, you know, pathetic campers. We like to go kind of like pretty close to home. I mean, literally, it's not even a mile from where she lives. But, you know, you still feel like you're on holiday when you go to these campsites. You know, you'd still have that sort of whole feeling like you're on holiday sort of thing. And we just thought, oh, the kids will like that, you know. So, yeah, we were going to do that. But she ordered her tent and it had said it was going to arrive by Saturday. Well, you can guess, can't you? It didn't arrive. So, hence, we did not go camping. But actually, it worked out okay because the weather wasn't brilliant, to be honest. So, you know, I messaged her and just said, oh, well, I wouldn't worry too much because the weather isn't great. So, yeah. So, hence, really, ended up spending the whole weekend just working because then it was like, oh, well, the weather's not great. I've got loads of things that I must catch up on. So, yeah, just ended up, you know, just working really for the weekend. Just going to cut that down. Okay, so I'm just going to cut all my bits of paper to size. So that was the Avery and the blue paper there. Right, now I might do another coupling of the documents, or I might just use all documents collection here. Let's just see how we get on, shall we? Yeah, let's do this. Just checking how this is going to be. Actually, I'm going to do it this side. Yeah, so that was that. My daughter went to a birthday party, so that was, I think, on Friday afternoon. What else? Oh, do you know, I really can't think particularly. So I've just been, yeah, doing a lot of washing still and things like that. But touch wood, I'm now caught up with my washing and all of that stuff, you know, following our holiday and following renting our house out. So we're kind of back straight now. I haven't bothered unpacking our clothes. We're just going to kind of like, you know, wear the same stuff that we took on holiday, to be honest. You know, because we went in the summer, it's worked out really great because we can just carry on wearing those things, you know, that we'd taken on holiday. So yeah, that's all that we're going to do, which is brilliant. So we're just going to leave them all packed up. So when we unpack, or when we pack up again in September, when we rent our house in September, we're not going to have to pack up our clothes. So that will be one thing less to do, which is, you know, brilliant. So yeah, we're just kind of like making do with our clothes that we took on holiday with us. Right, I'm wondering whether I might be able to use this here. Let's just see. Oh, I might not have to actually. I wonder which one I meant to go. At which point? Maybe that one at the bottom actually. Put that one like that. trying to eat really healthy still. Oh my goodness, it's a struggle, I have to say. So on Saturday night, oh, I was so weak. I did give in and had like just a family bag of crisps for my dinner. So yeah, not really great. But I had been quite healthy all week apart from that. So discovered these things called Maggie bags. I think they're called Maggie bags. They may be called Maggie bags, but they are double G. I'd never heard of these before, but somebody, my son knows, he has them a lot for his dinner. So my son said, oh, what you want to do is try these Maggie bags. So I was like, oh, what, you know, what are they? So we're probably like the last people on the planet to actually hear about these, but basically they're like a sort of packet of herbs and spices. And then at the top of the packets, they've got like a plastic bag that you put all of your stuff in, and then you just roast it like for, you know, 40 minutes or however long, you know, depending on what you're cooking, I suppose. So obviously mine was like vegetables and then some corn pieces, you know, like a meat alternative. So they probably didn't take as long to cook as if you were cooking meat. Now my son, he has chicken in his, and he's going for like 45 minutes. So, you know, but I mean, if you used red meat, maybe you'd have to put it in for longer. I don't know. That's that. And then I'm just going to do one from my new vintage desk papers as well. So yeah, let's do this one, I think. So, yeah, anyway, I'd never heard of them before, but wow, they are so cool because they make making your dinner so quick and so easy. And obviously, because you can get quite a bit of stuff in the bag, they actually then are good enough for like 2 nights of dinner. So I had one, I think it was like Thursday night, and then I had the other half of the bag on Friday night. And then I made one again yesterday because I was like, oh my goodness, that's so quick and easy. So I made another one yesterday. And then I've got half of that left for tonight. So my daughter doesn't eat things like that. So obviously, you know, I just had my own bag, and then my son had his bag, which was chicken. But yeah, my daughter, she, you know, she wouldn't want that because she doesn't really like vegetables. So yeah, she didn't obviously join in having it. But yeah, they're really cool, to be honest. Really cool. Can't believe I'd never stumbled across them before. But yeah, very, very clever concept. Right, I'm just wondering whether I might be able to just get away with doing it like this. How cool is that? I'll just trim this down slightly, and then that's perfect for that. Absolutely perfect. And then we'll do one more, final one. So yeah, this is the vintage desk, set 3. And I've also got this one, which is also from the vintage desk set 3. So yeah, should we do that? Just take this down here. Okay, and I did have a smoothie for my breakfast this morning. So yeah, trying to be really healthy, you know, because when you've been away, so obviously on holiday, I ate a lot of good food, actually, you know, not like junk food or anything, a lot of good food, but the point there, you know, the key word there was a lot. So now it's like, oh, once you come home, you've got to then be really good, haven't you, and stop eating such a lot. So yeah, you know, all these good things, or all these fun things that we do, they all come at a price, don't they? So it then comes to the point where it's like, oh no, I've got to be really good now for the next few weeks. So it's all back to boring now. Back to being really boring. Okay. Right, take that one down. So again, actually, I'm just going to cut this down in the obvious places, I think. Do that one. And that one. Just see if we can do it like this. Okay, and then this one here. Ah, that's not too bad, is it? Yeah, that works out well. So just quickly glue these down. No idea how long I've been filming for, I'm afraid, because yeah, I'm not sure how long I'd been filming for before my dad rang. I think now I can't actually see my phone very clearly. It's just at an angle where the light's catching it. I think it maybe does say 41 minutes. It could say 31 minutes. Oh, I've no idea. So yeah, I apologise if I'm now waffling on and going over time, but there we go. Oh, and thank you so much to everyone who made a comment this week and things. I'm still obviously kind of like trying to get on top of comments because I obviously have been, you know, catching up on other stuff. I've been slacking now on getting on top of comments. So, yeah, I do apologise for that. But thank you so much to anyone who has left a comment. And obviously I am still kind of like reading through them. Also, YouTube have changed the comment section. So in this thing called YouTube Studio that as the content creator you kind of have access to, and it's really annoying because you can't now see all the comments, you know, which you did used to be able to. So it's just a bit more faffy. You can click something and go onto another screen and then you can see them, but you know, it's a bit annoying. So I hate it when they change systems around and they don't work like they used to. I don't know why they have to change things, you know. Obviously, I'm not someone who embraces change, I suppose. So, yeah, it's just really annoying, isn't it? You know, sometimes they change, like do updates like on your phone and things like that. And then invariably, they're worse, aren't they? Worse than they were before. Something else had changed recently. I can't think what it was. Something on my phone, which I thought, well, now that's rubbish. You know, you've done away with a feature that I used to use all the time. Can't think what that is. Really annoying. I can't remember, but yeah, something on my phone, and I thought, well, that's rubbish. You've got rid of something that was really great and you've replaced it with something that's not great. Right, okay, so we will cover our paper. Okay, there we go. Oh, honestly, we're going to have another bank holiday soon because, yeah, we get one. I think it's the last week in August. Something like that, I think. Last week in August. So, yeah, it's flying by. And that's horrible, the thought of that, because that kind of signifies, like, the last week of August. That sounds like the end of summer, doesn't it? It's like, oh, no. Although we do sometimes get some nice weather in, you know, like September and stuff. But, yeah, obviously it kind of suggests it coming to the end, doesn't it? Which, I mean, it has been a good summer, to be honest. But I don't really feel like I've seen that much of it. I think because I've just been working for quite a bit of the time. I don't feel like I've really kind of like appreciated the weather much. And then we were obviously away for 2 weeks when I wasn't working. So, yeah, I feel like I've not really seen the summer very much. And now looking out, honestly, today, it looks so horrible and grey. It doesn't look like summer at all. It looks more like sort of October. But, hey, it is still warm, like I said. So, you know, can't complain too much. Okay. Like that. Okay. Right, I'll just snip this down. Oh, my daughter and I, we went on our bikes yesterday to do the food shopping, which, yeah, that was kind of like quite hairy whether I was going to like fit everything onto the bike. I've got panniers on my bike, you know, like the little bags that you hang over the back of the back wheel. And, yeah, but even with the panniers, we had only like really 3 bags of shopping, but of course I then had to carry one of the bags back, banging into my leg the whole way back. But and I have got a basket on my bike as well. But yeah, I thought, oh, let's just take our bikes, you know. So yeah, we did that. Trying to be really good, using the bike a lot. Right, okay, let's just quickly staple these because I'm thinking we should probably decorate one because otherwise I'm going to end up running out of time, I think. you know, to do everything. So I'm going to just staple this again because I did actually really like how that worked. So obviously these pockets, they're in a slightly different position to where they were on the other pocket. So, you know, you might find, depending on where your pockets are, will depend on where you need your staples, if you see what I mean. So now I've got like a staple there and a staple there. But, you know, just adjust it according to where your pockets are laying. So like that. Okay. Just now go down the side. And right at the bottom. Yeah, I mean, definitely these pockets, you know, they're pretty nice when they're stitched, I have to say. So, I mean, if you have got a sewing machine, then these are, you know, a nice pocket to sew. Okay. But I do think the stapling is, you know, pretty nifty, to be honest, for getting around what we just talked about. Oh, for some reason I've got this bottom of that pocket that I hadn't stitched or stuck down. I'll just glue that down. Okay. Right, okay. Must be quick because, yeah, I must have been filming for quite a long time because I've just looked at my clock, you know, on my iPad beside me, and actually it's coming up to the time where I'll have to leave to go and meet my mum and dad. So, right, so a staple there and a staple at the top. Okay, and again, just glue that across the bottom. Like that. Okay. This one needs a bit of trimming up, so I'll trim this in a second. Just stick that down. 1, 2, and then here. Okay, one at the top. And that one. Right, okay, so let's cut these down and trim them up a bit. Okie dokie, trim that down. There we go. So yeah, they're lovely pockets, aren't they? So let's decorate one of these up. So I've done really abysmally today, to be honest. We've only made 4 complete ones, and then I've got 1, 2, another 2 there to finish off. But let's decorate one of these up. So I brought along some of my new ephemera pieces from my peacock in the pink. So yeah, let's just use one of these, which, oh, to be honest, I'm actually, yeah, I think I'm going to use this one, but I'm actually thinking might do it with that rather than the peacock papers themselves, which felt like a little bit boring to be so predictable, or these ones with like the beige kind of frames. I wonder what that would look like on there. So, and I do have a couple of butterflies here, so I'll just take those too. Yeah, let me know what you think as well about the label packs. So, like I say, they were a requested item, but let me know what you think. You know, because obviously I thought that was a genius idea when, you know, the lady messaged and suggested, or asked if I could do those. So let me know what you think to those, whether you think that's quite nice. They're all printed on, by the way, 230 GSM paper. So they're much thicker than just copy paper. They are more this, you know, much thicker sort of paper. So yeah, they're really nice. Just, yeah, let me know whether you think, you know, do you like the mixed die cut packs? Do you like the specific things, i.e. like labels? Would you like some flowers maybe? Or, you know, I don't know, something else, shoes, or I don't know, other things. Or do you prefer them just to mix in terms of colour? Which do you think is nicest? Which would you prefer? Do we like it on the peacock? Or, I mean, I quite like it on this one, to be honest. I think that's really quite nice for something a bit different. I do quite like it on the Swan Lake paper as well, to be fair. Just going to take this one and do this on there, or see how this one looks on there. Aren't peacocks beautiful? They're so gorgeous, aren't they? Got a friend, and she gets every year at this sort of time of year, I think it starts about May normally, she gets this peacock who, I don't know where he actually lives normally, but goes in her garden all the time during these summer months. Like I say, I have no idea where he springs from, where he lives normally, but yeah, in the summer he's constantly in her garden. And that's been for years, probably 10 years, something like that. How gorgeous is that? Imagine like opening up your curtains and you've got a peacock in your garden. I mean, that is pretty awesome, isn't it? So yeah, lovely, lovely to have that out there. Right. Yeah, I'm going to just do this because I haven't got time really to do more than one, but yeah, I'm going to do that. I'll just check. I mean, it even looks quite nice on there, doesn't it? Yeah, they're lovely, aren't they? Right, okay, let's just quickly ink this up. I just like to ink around the edges because then it just disguises any poor cutting that I've done. And then we'll just ink around the edge of the actual pocket itself. So, yep. Okay. Right, now to get in here, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take some other paper and then just put that inside there, just so I can ink along that top edge without going all over the pocket below, or you know, yeah, the pocket below. So like that. Okay, I mean, how beautiful is this? Can I have it there? Going to just take one or two of these butterflies. Got a bit of a headache today. Don't know whether it's because like the weather's quite muggy and close, but you know, overcast. It's that sort of headachy type weather. But yeah. Okay. I'm still like in the middle of a book that I started reading on holiday. So I only ever read on holiday, you know, because obviously when you're at home, there's no time for reading or anything. So, but I hate it, you know, when you get back from holiday and you're halfway through a book, because I kind of want to finish it, you know, but there's like, oh, never the chance to finish it. So I might try and finish that. After I finish The Handmaid's Tale, maybe I will spend an evening reading. I'm not sure what percentage I am through the book. I know it's weird, isn't it, to say what percentage, but you know, like on Kindle, you never really look, do you, to see where you are page wise, but it does come up saying how many % you are through the book. So yeah, obviously if I'm only like 20%, I probably will save it just until I go on holiday again, but then I'll probably have to restart the book because I won't even remember what went on, or what was going on. But yeah, if I'm like say 75%, then I'll just try and finish it. I do really like reading, but yeah, there's just, you know, it's one of those things you have to sort of properly concentrate on, don't you? And so, you know, just in the normal kind of run of time, there's just not really time to read, is there? I've just suddenly spotted this. Oh, look what I've done. What an idiot. Didn't even occur to me when I was gluing that down. So I've used the one that was obviously sealed at this end, so I can snip this open here. Okay. I wouldn't have necessarily opened it if it was the end that I had glued, but because that was the actual glued end, if you see what I mean, how it was bought, then I feel it's a little bit safer to do that. But what I will do is I'm just going to go down on those edges, you know, like where it had been sealed, you know, factory sealed, just to make sure it's actually glued down, if that makes sense. So take that, glue that down like that. Okay. Okie dokie. Right. Looking good, looking good. So yeah, kind of that like that. Oh my goodness, how gorgeous is that looking? I'm just wondering whether I might, oh, that just looks so good, doesn't it? Can't remember what this is from. Might be like my vintage ephemera set 4, 5, something like that. But wow, I love how this looks. That's so pretty. So yeah, let's just get gluing these bits down. Oh, I feel like this is going to be one of those pockets that I hoard now. So yeah, a hoarded pocket. Now I've got this lace which we could use. Oh my goodness, let me just snip this down. Just going to take off that sort of wavy edge. Oops. Oh no, come on. Okay. Oh my gosh, doesn't this look gorgeous? Absolutely love how this looks. I love pink and blue together, don't you? Such a pretty combination, isn't it? Really, really love it. Okay, right, we're going to have this. And then I'm just wondering whether we wanted any lace poking out from here at all, or whether that might be a bit much. Oh no, it's not a bit much, not a bit much at all. I do like a bit of lace. So yeah, just going to have a little bit there, just hanging out there at the side. And then what I'll do, I'm going to hot glue this down. Now, got to be a little bit careful. Oh, actually, it's going to be okay. I was going to say because I didn't want it gluing onto here, but all I'm going to do is just avoid the very top of that. So I'm just going to pop that down like that. Please excuse the back of this piece of paper. There we go. Like that. Oh my goodness. How gorgeous does this look? Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, and just glue this butterfly down like that. And then here, just have another one. I'm just going to check I don't want to have any lace at the top because I do like a bit of lace, as you know. Weirdly, I actually don't think it does need the lace. I think almost that would be a little bit of a step too far. So yeah, I'm going to go without the lace. So we just put that butterfly down like that. Now we've got no bling on here so far. It's completely blingless, which, oh, I don't like it being blingless. So yeah, let me just see. So we could either have a bit of bling in the butterfly, or we could have some bling on the lace. I mean, we could have both, but yeah, that feels like it's a bit excessive. So let's just take that down. Could have it there. Could even have a little bit there. Let's try this, because now I've said, oh, it will be a bit excessive. Now look, I'm like, oh, actually not excessive. Really nice. So yeah, let's just take one extra bit there. Okay, right. Oh my gosh, this is really fiddly. One little tiny bit of bling. Really fiddly. Oh my gosh, am I going to be able to glue that down? Oh no. It's just sticking on my finger rather than on the page. Okay. That one. Oh, come on. Because I've got glue on my finger now, not nail, now. So every time I press it, the glue's obviously then sticking on my finger and it's just pulling it back up. Annoying. Right, oh gosh. All fingers and thumbs now. Okay. There we go. Oh my gosh, that's such a pretty pocket, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Love, 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 love how that looks. So that is your triple envelope pockets. Aren't they just lovely? Like I say, they're a little bit time consuming, a little bit fiddly. Obviously I did do kind of like the two tutorials, but I've made 4 complete ones and we've decorated one, and then I've got 2 more left to do. So yeah, not too bad, to be honest. So do let me know what you think to them. You know, obviously if you want to go over to my shop and check out any of the things that I sort of showed you, then, you know, they're in there at the moment. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Let me know what you think to everything. Let me know what you think to the labels and things like that. And yeah, thank you so much. Would really appreciate a big thumbs up to this video, and I hope you all have a fantastic day. I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks then. Bye.